Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Tevaron here, and welcome to another episode of Friday Night Magic. Joy and jubilation, they actually managed to release Eldritch Moon on time. In fact, perhaps even a bit early, as the paper magic release isn't until tomorrow. Tonight we're going to be running Blue-White Tempo. It's not really a spirits deck, though we do have a lot of spirits in it. What it is a deck that intends to get out a creature really early and then stop your opponent from getting anything of value going themselves while beating your opponent in the face. This is not a tuned build, as we haven't, or I haven't really had enough time to do that. In fact, I've only played 2 games so far with the deck, and it worked pretty well in those games. Just take that with a grain of salt, and the gameplay that you see here, the deck is not fully tuned, and yet we have to start somewhere. So let's go through the list, shall we? We're running 2 Essence Flux, as we have a lot of creatures that have enter the battlefield triggers. It's 1 blue instant that exiles a creature we control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. If it's a spirit, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So this will allow us to get multiple uses from our enter the battlefield triggers, and also we have quite a few spirits, so the +1/+1 counter will be a relevant thing. We are running 2 Selfless Spirits, 1 and a white, for a flying 2/1, and we can sacrifice it to give creatures we control indestructible until end of turn. This will help us against Planar Outburst and things of that nature, though it will not prevent Languish from wiping our board. 2 Rattlechains, 1 and a blue, for a flash flying 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, target spirit gains hexproof until end of turn, and you may cast spirit spells as though they had flash. This is one of the linchpins of the deck. As I said, we do run quite a few spirits. The giving of hexproof is very good. It can stop one of our creatures from getting removed, and the fact that it gives our spirits that don't have flash already flash allows us to play an instant speed game much of the time. 2 Dimensional Infiltrators. This is not a spirit, but it does have flash. It is a 2/1 for a blue and a colorless, with flying, and for 1 and an actual colorless, a generic and a colorless. Target opponent exiles the top card of his or her library. If it's a land card, you may return Dimensional Infiltrator to its owner's hand. We're not going to be able to activate this much, as we only have 1 real source of colorless mana in the deck. It's just an added bonus if that comes about. 2 Unsubstantiate, 1 and a blue, return target spell or creature to its owner's hand. It's not a counter spell per se, but it does fit into the tempo of the deck, allowing us to delay something that the opponent's casting or to bounce a troublesome creature. We are running 2 Bygone Bishop for 2 and a white. It is a flying spirit that has, whenever you cast a creature spell with converted mana cost 3 or less, investigate. So that is card advantage for us, and most of our creatures do cost 3 or less. So that is great. 2 Spell Quellers for 1, a white and a blue. It has flash, flying, and when it enters the battlefield, exile target spell with converted mana cost 4 or less. When Spell Queller leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner may cast that card without paying its mana cost. So this is a pseudo counterspell. It does stop the spell when it is being cast, but if they manage to remove it, then they get to cast the spell again. Again, this fits very much into what we're trying to do, and just delay our opponent enough that we can kill them before they get anything going. 3 Reflector Mage for 1, a white and a blue. It's a 2/3, and when it enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. That creature's owner can't cast spells with the same name as that creature until your next turn. Bounce, counter, delay, beat face. 2, Imprisoned in the Moon. I am actually really fond of this card. It's 2 and a blue, an enchantment. You can enchant a creature, land, or planeswalker, and the permanent becomes a colorless land with tap. Add colorless to your mana pool and loses all other card types and abilities. This is pretty much the same as an old green card that I can't remember the name of, something Dryad. I think it even has the same mana cost, and the Dryad one turned something into a forest. But this is removal in blue, and it's good removal at that. It lets you deal with bothersome lands, bothersome creatures, and even planeswalkers. I really like this card. 2, Scatter to the Wind, because we need more counterspells. 1 and 2 blue, counter target spell, and if we need to and have the mana for 2 blue and 4, we can awaken it, which means we put 3/+1/+1 counters on a land, and it becomes a 0/0 elemental, 3/3 with the +1/+1 counters, and gives us yet another beater. 2, Spell Shrivel, as a counter spell that doesn't need 2 blue to be cast, for 2 and a blue, instant. Counter target spell unless its controller pays an additional 4. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. 2, Collective Effort. This is a very versatile spell for 1 and 2 white. We get to choose 1 or more of these, and it also has Escalate, and to escalate we tap an untapped creature we control. And for each untapped creature we control, we can choose another one of these. So we can actually pay the mana cost, tap 2 creatures, and get all of these effects. The effects are destroy target creature with power 4 or greater, destroy target enchantment, or put a +1/+1 counter on each creature target player controls. This is great. We've got removal, we've got the ability to deal with enchantments, and the ability to pump our entire team. I really like Collective Effort. 2, Niblis of Frost. It is 2 and 2 blue for a flying creature with prowess. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, tap target creature an opponent controls. That creature does not untap during its controller's next untap step, and it's a 3/3. This is a very good spirit in here. It allows our instants and sorceries not only to translate into additional damage through the prowess, but also to tap down our opponent's side of the board and slow them down that much more. We're playing 3 Thunderclap Wyvern for 2, a white and a blue. We have a flash creature with flying, a 2/3 that gives other creatures with flying that we control +1/+1. Most of our creatures are flying. I think the only creatures we have in the deck that aren't flying are Reflector Mages, so this is just an all-around good card. 1 Archangel Avacyn, mostly because she has flash, although her enters the battlefield trigger of creatures we control gaining indestructible until end of turn is very good as well, as is the flying and vigilant. She's just an all-around house. And when a non-angel creature we control dies, we get to transform her at the beginning of the next upkeep into Avacyn the Purifier, who is a 6/5 flyer, and when it transforms, it deals 3 damage to all other creatures and each opponent. We are also running 2 Planar Outburst to help us deal with super aggressive strategies, which I imagine we would have a bit of trouble with, such as mono white humans or other aggro decks of that ilk. Destroy all non-land creatures. It also has Awaken for 3 white and 5 other. We can also make a 4/4 land. This also plays really well with effects such as Archangel Avacyn giving our creatures indestructible, or Selfless Spirit also sacking to give our side indestructible, so that it will be a one-sided board wipe if that works out to be the case, that we have the ability to do both of those at the same time. Our mana base is 7 plains, 7 islands, 2 Prairie Stream, 1 Westvale Abbey, 2 Glacial Fortress, 4 Evolving Wilds, and 4 Meandering River. Okay, so I just realized that I am running 27 land when I actually meant to be running 26. So I'm going to make a quick adjustment here and lower this to 26 and add something else to the deck. Right offhand, the two things that I am thinking of is either a single Nebelgast Herald, which is a flash flying for 2 and a blue, that has whenever it or another spirit enters the battlefield under our control, tap target creature and opponent controls. That's really good. Or we could add Gisela, the Broken Blade, which is 4 mana for a 2 and 2 white for a flying first strike lifelinker. And this ability is not really relevant because we're not going to run Bruna, but at the beginning of your end step, if you both own and control Gisela the Broken Blade and a creature named Bruna, the Fading Light, exile them, then meld them into Bracella, Voice of Nightmares, who is this monstrosity, a 9/10 with flying, first strike, vigilance, lifelink, and your opponents can't cast spells with converted mana cost 3 or less. But as I said, that wouldn't be relevant at all as we wouldn't be playing Bruna. I think either one would be kind of okay in the deck. I think that the blue creature, the Ghast, would be more along the lines of what we're trying to do. So let's put that in. Where are you? There we go. I would like actually to have more of these, but at the moment I'm not going to worry about what to cut to get those in. We'll go ahead and put a Nebelgast Herald in the deck. And we will cut a Plains. That will take us down to 26 mana, which is what I want. We really want to hit our land drops in this deck, so as not to fall behind the opponent. We want them to be the ones falling behind. Well, that is the deck. Let's get in there and see how she does. Alright. I think this is a keepable hand, so we will do just that. And please be aware that we are in the lower ranks now. I have not yet had time to grind my way back up. So we will probably be seeing a lot of damage effects and whatnot going through. I will try to cut those out. Go ahead and fetch for an island. And we'll let our opponent have their turn. We will be able to draw Selfless Spirit next turn. It looks like we have perhaps a pseudo mirror here. Zoom in on that so we show it properly tapped. Alright, well, we will play a Plains. Next turn we'll be able to drop our Prairie Stream untapped. And we will pass. See what the opponent is up to here. They have not yet shown us a second color. They may just be mono white. Choosing not to attack. Alright, well we will make our land drop in case we want to Spell Shrivel a combat trick of some sort here. And we will be attacking. Well, if we can get it to go, it looks like we're having sync issues here perhaps. A little lag from the servers. Maybe they're a bit overloaded. Opponent decides to let it through. That's fine. We will drop our Bygone Bishop, which has a significant body, able to hold this Selfless Spirit at bay. Bottle Gnomes from the opponent. Bottle Gnomes is a life gain card. They can sack it to gain 3 life. Its body is not going to be that relevant in this game, as almost all of our creatures are flying. Okay. I think that we probably want to play an untapped land so that we can flash in Thunderclap Wyvern if we need to. So we will do that. Then we will attack. And confirm. See if the opponent chooses to block. They do not. We will go ahead and flash in the Wyvern. Get an extra 2 damage in on the opponent here. And with the Selfless Spirit up, I'm not worried about a board wipe from our opponent. We can just sack it to keep our other 2 creatures alive. Declaration in Stone, targeting that. Well, we can't stop that. Giving Indestructible doesn't stop Declaration in Stone from working. We are winning this damage race, though. We're already significantly ahead of the opponent. 12 life to 17. Alright, and now we can just start playing a purely flash game. The question is how much I want to hold up. And I think I want to hold up 5, so I'm going to play not the Evolving Wilds. That way I can play Spell Shrivel, plus Unsubstantiate or Dimensional Infiltrator if necessary, and also gives me the mana to crack a clue if I don't have to play the Spell Shrivel or Unsubstantiate. So we will swing here for 4 damage. And pass the turn. Very happy that the game's no longer continuing when all that we have to do is instant speed. Gives me time to think. I do have to get used to clicking continue or hitting our spacebar to progress to the next phase, though. As I had very much lost that habit and picked up the habit of being ready to pause at a moment's notice so that I could play my instance. Alright, so the opponent has green. I think that we just want to unsubstantiate that, since they do not have the mana to replay it this turn. Alright, we're going to be taking 3 here. I believe we're going to forego cracking the clue and just play our Dimensional Infiltrator out, putting us 2 damage off of lethal. If we draw another Thunderclap Wyvern or a collective effort, then we will have lethal. Alright, pause, and play out our Infiltrator. That will also generate us another clue here. And it resolves. Alright, Evolving Wilds. Well, let's play that. And we will swing for 6. The opponent will be able to gain some life next turn, but it won't be enough to get them out of the situation. I don't think. They would need something else besides the life gain. And that would take up all of their mana that they have on board at the moment to do so. Alright, they are down to 2. We're going to go ahead and sacrifice this so we don't forget about it. And we will get an island, as our deck is a bit heavier in blue than it is in white, and pass the turn. I think we've pretty much got this between what we have on board and the Spell Shrivel. I don't think there's much the opponent can do to get out of this situation. That will be fine. That will only let them gain 2 life this turn, and they won't be able to pump this either, or activate this at the same time. Looks like they do not have a land to drop, so we'll be taking a damage from Bottle Gnome. We'll crack a clue at the end of turn. Just 1, as I want to hold the Spell Shrivel up. Yes. What's going on? Oh, okay. Continue. That's fine. I think we have the game, but we will, well, we can just make for sure, and we will do that by imprisoning this spirit in the moon and swinging in. And I will see you guys in the next one. Okay, I think that this is keepable. I would prefer to have a couple more low drops instead of Archangel Avacyn and Collective Effort at this point, but I don't think this is a hand that I can really mulligan in good conscience. We have a turn 2 Rattlechains to flash in at the end of our opponent's turn. And then Collective Effort can be removal for us or pump our team. If it comes to that, we'll go ahead and fetch. We'll get an island. Personally, I value not forgetting to crack my Evolving Wilds more than I value holding back that little bit of information for our opponent till the end of their turn. Okay, white coming down on the opponent's side here. Niblis of Frost, that's a pretty good draw. We'll go ahead and play a Plains out and just pass the turn. Alright, looks like we're up against black-white, probably controlling, if I had to guess. Could be an allies deck or something else along those lines. We'll give it self-hexproof there. And there's a Thunderclap Wyvern. Again, I really would like to have another 3-drop, but as that is not available, we'll go ahead and swing in. Don't want to cast this just to give a single +1/+1 counter here. And pass. Rattlechains will allow us to play all of our spirits with flash, including this Niblis of Frost here. Alright, this guy is flying in Death Touch. Alright, whenever they gain life, it gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Okay, that is interesting. Having a little bit of lag here. There we go, play our island finally. And we're going to hold back and not swing right now. We'll skip our attack. Hoping to flash in this Niblis of Frost at the end of our opponent's turn. Which will allow us to tap down this Death Touch Malakir Familiar when we play an instant or sorcery, which we have one of in our hand. So it looks like they are a ally or a life gain sort of deck here. Alright, we'll pause, go ahead and play our Niblis of Frost. And we got a Thunderclap Wyvern as well. Kind of want to sit back, and yet this deck isn't really designed to do that. We have a second Rattlechains in our hand, so trading this guy off isn't so bad at the moment. Let's go ahead and play Collective Effort, and we're not going to escalate it. We're going to give +1/+1. Okay, there, finish. And we will target ourselves to do that. And we will tap down this guy. And again, the question is, do I want to trade off my Rattlechains? Actually, I don't think I do, because when we flash in a Thunderclap Wyvern, it can beat up on this drawn as Emissary. So we'll just be swinging with our Niblis. Alrighty. See what they've got. Going to gain a life. We'll lose a life. This guy will get pumped, but he's tapped down. doesn't untap during the next turn's untap phase. If we draw some more instants or sorceries, we can just keep that going. Keep him tapped down for good. Alright, Knight of the Pilgrim's Road. 3-2 with Renown of 1. Opponent is holding the Emissary back for blocking purposes. Alright, Glacial Fortress. We have Avacyn online now, or Thunderclap Wyvern. Let's go ahead and attack, see if we can goad our opponent into blocking with that Emissary. If they try to trade with Rattlechains, we'll flash in a Wyvern, saving Avacyn to deal with this Death Touch person. Okay, that did not happen, and so we are going to pass. Could have gotten in 2 more damage with Thunderclap Wyvern there. However, I am going to value the surprise factor here. We may be able to play Avacyn and eat this Malakir Familiar. Untamed Hunger, I do not know that one. Gets +2/+1 and has Menace. Okay, continue. We are showing 1 short of lethal for the opponent here. They're going to swing all out. Well, we'll flash in Avacyn if it will let us. There we go. Give our team Indestructible. And we're going to go ahead and block here. I don't care to take the 8 damage. And this is the game, but we've only got 1 more turn, so we'll continue playing and finish it out. Confirm the block. This guy gets Renown, but that is a non-factor as we're going to just swing for the win here. Continue. And on to game number 3. I think I like this hand. We've got 2 2-drops, one of which has Flash, into a counterspell in the Niblis. We will be keeping this. And we will be fetching for a Plains and passing to the opponent. There we go. Confirm. Experiencing quite a bit of lag today. Don't know if that's just the usual finickiness of the Magic Duels servers, or if they're getting an extra heavy load today. Sludge Crawler from the opponent. This guy has Ingest. Well, we will play Island. And pass. We'll be planning to flash in our Dimensional Infiltrator here. Don't think we're going to be too concerned about blocking this Sludge Crawler. At least not at present. Looks like we're going to be taking 1. Opponent's not pumping. What are they exiling here? Prairie Stream, that's fine. Another Sludge Crawler. Okay. Well, let's flash in our Infiltrator. And I think we're going to be just playing the Selfless Spirit. We could play the Island and hold up Scatter, but this guy doesn't have Flash. So I think it's better to properly develop our mana. Getting a second white here so that we can Planar Outburst if necessary. And we will play the Selfless Spirit. There's not much our opponent can do with a single black up at instant speed. So no need to hedge until after combat. We will swing for 2. And then we'll see what the opponent's got going on. Continue. Alright, so they have blue in the deck. Sunken Hollow there. Looks like they are not pumping, so that's good, or maybe they are. Okay, 1 pump there. We're still going to win the race, as we're dealing 4 a turn at present, and they're only dealing 3. Okay, we lost Avacyn and Imprisoned in the Moon. Spell Shrivel's good. So is Niblis of Frost here. We will go ahead and swing. And I think we're going to just play the Niblis of Frost out. I doubt very much that a deck running Sludge Crawlers is running Languish, though it very well could be. I'm going to err on the side of logic here, and hopefully our opponent is logical. Right, Foundry of the Consuls for the opponent. Now they can deal 4 damage. And they could even pump 1 twice to trade with our Niblis of Frost if we were to block, which we will not be, I don't think. Yeah, we will skip blocking. We're just going to be content to race. Hopefully they don't have removal. They have something to cast, though, because they did not pump. So we lost an Essence Flux and a second Niblis of Frost. And they didn't cast anything, so they must have something at instant speed. However, we have 2 counter spells at the ready, only one of which we can cast in a single turn, but... Confirm. Alright, we will go to combat. And swing for 7. We will be spell shriveling this guy. And tap that down and keep it tapped, please. So we will be doing 8 actually here because of the prowess on Niblis. And barring removal that we can't deal with, we should have the game on the next turn. Titan's Presence. Okay. Get rid of that. That is fine. It exiles, so there's no use in trying to save it by sacrificing our Selfless Spirit. So now we do not have lethal on this coming turn. Vessel of Malignity. Okay. They'll be able to activate that next turn and get rid of 2 cards from our hand. Ingesting a Thunderclap Wyvern. Well, that would have given us the win, so that's unfortunate. Well, nothing for it but to swing for 4. Confirm. We will be discarding these Planar Outbursts to the Vessel of Malignity, most likely. The Scatter to the Wind is just much more useful at the moment. Alright. See how much we're taking. Looks like just 2. 2 more ingest triggers. A Spell Shrivel. And Westvale Abbey. And they have enough to activate this. Maybe we will be playing a Planar Outburst. We are going to swing first, though. Attack. Confirm. They're going to pop this Foundry of the Consuls. Go to blocks. We are going to sacrifice our Selfless Spirit to give everything on our side indestructible, which is the Dimensional Infiltrator at the moment. And then second main, we will Planar Outburst. Since it still has indestructible. Wipe our opponent's side of the board, and I'm going to hold this so that we can discard it to, or not discard it, but exile it when they activate Vessel of Malignity. We'll get rid of the second outburst plus the plains. And I think that's game. We'll continue just to make sure. Not certain if our opponent conceded or if they lost connection. We'll exile those. And we will swing, hopefully, for the win. Alright, looks like it. Game 4. Alrighty, we're a little short on mana. However, we have some 2-drops. We're only going to need one more land to actually come fully online with this hand, so I'm going to keep it. We will start off with our comes into play tapped land. Alright, first mountain we've seen, I think, unless I'm misremembering. Right, well there's our third land, though it is an Evolving Wilds. We'll play our plains, if it will let us. There we go. And just pass the turn. We'll be flashing in Dimensional Infiltrator at end of turn if we don't want to unsubstantiate and delay our opponent from something. And it looks like they're not going to play anything. Well, we will try to resolve a Dimensional Infiltrator. Looks like he's good. Alright, Essence Flux. Happy with that. We'll go ahead and sack this for a second blue. There we go, confirm. And then we'll swing for 2. Next turn we have Reflector Mage online. And we might get to tempo our opponent here. If they try to play something, we'll just unsubstantiate it. If it's a creature, though, we will probably just Reflector Mage it and save the unsubstantiate for something else. Jace, okay, that's fine. We will unsubstantiate the Fiery Impulse, though. Delay that for a turn. Okay, good top deck there. That will allow us to Essence Flux our Dimensional Infiltrator and save it when they try to Fiery Impulse it again. We will go ahead and Reflector Jace. And swing for 2. Continue. Alright, Pia and Kieran. That's fine. Thunderclap Wyvern's good. Let's see. If we can get them to block this Infiltrator with just one of these Slofters, then Thunderclap will save it. Let's see what we can do here. We will swing out. Alright, looks like that's what's happening, so that's good. Flash in Thunderclap Wyvern. We are completely tapped out now, so we can't respond to anything. Okay, there's Jace back to play. Fiery Impulse on the Infiltrator. That's the only thing it can kill at the moment. Alright, let's see what we draw here. A land? I mean, that's not horrible. We'll go ahead and play it. Then we will attack. See what our opponent chooses to do. Just letting it through. Alright, we are going to Essence Flux our Reflector Mage to bounce Jace again, I do believe. Yep. Back in your hand, sir. No loots for you. Hopefully. And now we have the ability to hold up counterspells, which is a good position to be in, generally. Yeah. No. No Spell Shrivel. Or no Spell Shrivel. No Thopter Spy Network, thank you. Spell Shrivel that. Continue. I don't think it's quite over yet, though we do have a bit of advantage. Our opponent still has 6 cards in hand. Reflector Mage helps. We'll save that for Jace, I think. Yeah. We could just bounce this Thopter, but I think I'm going to be happy with just swinging. Don't want to bounce Pia and Kieran and let them get another... Alright, let's kill Pia and Kieran, please. Definitely don't want to bounce Pia and Kieran and let them get another two Thopters there. Yeah, that's fine. Pass. See what they have here. There is Jace again, that's fine. We will be bouncing him. And we will scatter, please. Thank you. Scatter the Thopter Engineer. And the AI is getting frisky and attacking us for one. Guess it doesn't serve much purpose to block this 2/3. Rattlechains is very nice. Let's go ahead and delay Jace yet again. And we will swing for 2. All right. Anchor to Ether. Okay, so they're going to put probably the Thunderclap. Nope, putting the Reflector on top of our library. Okay. That's weird. We get a trigger from that thing when it enters the battlefield. That is definitely not the thing that I would anchor to the Ether if it were me, but it's not, so let's flash in our Rattlechains, please. Give itself hexproof. And swing for 5. Alright, there's a fiery impulse. Okay, killing our Wyvern. Well, that's probably why they didn't bounce it, but they could have easily impulsed the Reflector Mage, and then we wouldn't be able to do this. But again, it is AI and not a human person at this point. But you can see that our opponent did concede a little bit early there. There's still plenty of game left to be played, and this Harbinger is really doing absolutely nothing here, as our Rattlechains has flash. Alright, flash it in. And give itself hexproof. And a Spell Queller. Good card. Spell Queller may just lock this game up. We will attack. And our opponent looks like they're going to finally get to activate Jace and flip him, as they have enough cards in their graveyard. Okay, discarding Thopter Spy Network. Jace can flash something back here. Instead, he's just going to shrink the Reflector Mage. And we've got Spell Queller for removal. Well, let's just quell that, since it gives a blocker. Okay, Twin Bolt. That's fine. Spell Queller gives us enough power to finish this out. And we will swing. And that will do it for this episode of Friday Night Magic. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please leave a like below. It really does help. If you didn't like it, the dislike button's right beside the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. You'll be notified when I upload new content. And leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to playing with the new Eldritch Moon cards. Is it a new spin on an old archetype, or something completely different? And until next time, friends, be excellent to each other.